evening, everyone. Welcome. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our channel, the Non-Tech Techie. This is me, Elma. And tonight I have one of my favorite speakers. And I have actually interviewed him already. Like, I think this must be the fourth time, right?
Yeah,
Fourth
yeah.
or
This is
fifth
fourth,
time.
fifth. Yeah, this is fifth.
Okay, yes. And he's Yash Shah, and Yash is the CEO of Clientjoy. Now, tonight we have a very, very interesting topic. We are going to discuss how to do business negotiations in such a way that it's optimal for both parties so that both parties win. Because at the end of the day, when we do business negotiations, we want both parties to be happy. You don't want a win lose or whatever. We are not competing. We are actually joining hands. That is the objective, the main objective. So I've been using Clientjoy. I think a lot of you also know that. And Clientjoy also has a lot of recent updates. And the latest one is where they have integrated OpenAI in email writing within Clientjoy. And a bit later as well, we are going to discuss, aside from the updates, the future business plans of Clientjoy, so that we
Yeah.
know how, like, we purchase our licenses from Clientjoy, and of course, we are interested to find out what are the future plans, so that we know that Clientjoy keeps on growing. So,
Yeah.
without further ado, and I'm sure Clientjoy will keep on growing because Yash is great. He's really one of the my most favorite founders to interview here, and I
Thank you.
love inviting him here. Okay,
Thank you for
because
saying
what
that.
the thing is, we get value out of
Yeah.
your out of things that you talk about. Like now, we are talking about win-win negotiation. Before, you taught us how something about the CRM, how
Yeah.
to manage our clients, how to under under promise over deliver. Like we have a lot of
Yeah.
these topics. We even had
Yeah.
one about cold emailing. We even had one about, just check our previous topics and you'll see that Yash is an expert, not just in digital marketing, but also on leadership in all aspects of the business. And aside from that, he's an amazing human being. So
Oh my God. Thank you
again,
for saying
Yash, okay. So I think Yash, you can start now, and you can start presenting how to do win-win negotiation.
that. Sure. Absolutely. Just give me 1 second. I'll just
Sure.
share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet, but now
Okay.
we could.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So, okay, perfect. So I think you should be able to see a slide that says how can agencies and freelancers negotiate better. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we can
Perfect.
see your
So,
screen. Yeah, perfect.
yes. So spoiler alert. That's what we are going to talk about. How agencies and freelancers can negotiate better. And just before we begin talking about negotiation, just a little bit about what I do, a little bit about my background, and a little bit around Clientjoy. The point of sharing my journey or sharing my background in these type of sessions is primarily one of the beliefs that I have is that in principle in running a business there are no laws, there are only principles, and principles typically apply in very specific situations, right? And so they could primarily vary basis the background, geography, the kind of business that you're running, and so on and so forth. And so what I like to do before such sessions is just talk like a couple of minutes about what my journey has been, and so that whatever I'm about to say, you can put that in context, right? So all the things that I'm about to say, they worked for me and my business in the for the stage that we were, for the kind of offerings that we had, and the time at which we were running that business, right? So a little about me. I did mechanical engineering, and then I worked as an investment banker for about for half a decade or so before starting my own IT agency. We ran that IT agency. We scaled it from a two people team, which was me and my co-founder. We scaled it from a two people team to a 55 people team. We started from offering, website development, and then grew to offer SaaS, fintech, and e-commerce, web and mobile applications as well. And in that process, we built about 23 odd SaaS applications as well. We've won a couple of awards, and so now I'm one of the founders of Clientjoy, and chief executive as well. At Clientjoy, we help over 4,000 odd agencies and 9,000 odd freelancers from 90 plus countries grow their business and manage their clients. And primarily, the way that we do that is that it's a prospect to payment platform. So it offers, from lead forms to visual sales pipeline with email and scheduler. You can sign your proposals, quotes, estimates, and contracts. You can send out invoices along with reminders and then get payments. We are a preferred partner with PayPal, Stripe, and Payoneer as well. And you can also manage your clients by designing a completely custom client portal for them. And Clientjoy also integrates with about 3,000 odd different softwares, because we integrate with Zapier, Pabbly, Integromat, Integrately, and SalesForce. We've gotten a couple of badges from G2, and we rated 4.9 on 5 on Google Trustpilot and Captiva. Right? So that's it, right? So that's a little about what my background has been, what we are trying to currently do with Clientjoy. And here's what we are going to talk about today, right? So we'll talk about a little about why do we need to negotiate, some prerequisites of negotiation, very very basic negotiation tips, which I already think that you must already know. Then we'll move on to some advanced negotiation tips, and then I'll share with you some free resources towards the end of this conversation. And we'll follow that up with questions, and I'd love to answer the questions that you have as well. Right. So the first thing is something that I've noticed is that negotiation is primarily like broccoli, right? So it's good for you. You have to do it, but you don't like absolutely love it. Some people hate it, and the people who like it also don't like love it, right? So it could feel like having raw broccoli. It's good. You should and have to do it, but you don't like absolutely love it, right? That's one of the things that I've learned. And so the people who don't like negotiating, they look at negotiation as a way to destroy relationships. They look at it as a way to get into conflicting situations, and for them, it's a step that just better be skipped, right? So, if I don't like, if as an agency owner, I don't like negotiation, I've convinced you enough as a prospect that, hey, I'm great in terms of the skills that I have and the offering that I have. Let's just move on the negotiation bit and just start working, right? So that's what most people who don't like negotiation like to do. However, people who like negotiation, they look at negotiation as a way to design win-win deals, which is something that we'll talk about today. They look at it as a way to improve whatever situation that they are in, and they rejoice in the results, right? So that's a primarily like the perspective of the way that you look at negotiation can impact your ability to negotiate, right? So if you don't like it, you're consistently thinking of it as a way to destroy relationship. However, if you do, then you rejoice in the results, and you actually work on it to design win-win outcomes both for you and your clients as well. And so the first thing that we should look at is why do we actually need to negotiate, right? And so primarily, the reason why a lot of negotiation happens in the agency freelancing space is that there is no standardized pricing, right? So whenever you send out a proposal, you can be absolutely certain that there is someone else who will undercut you on price. There will be someone else who will be able to deliver results, or who will be promising to deliver results faster than you. And so in a situation where services are not typically commoditized, right? And so since there are no standardization, negotiation becomes very very important. Also, whenever you're talking to a prospect, your prospect or your client, they are talking to at least 3 or 4 different vendors to figure out who do they choose as a service provider, right? That's another added element as to one of the key reasons why we need to negotiate as well, right? And the reason why negotiation is very very important is because if you've reached to the stage of negotiation, everything else has done its job, right? So your growth activities have done the job of attracting the right prospect. your pre-sales teams have done the right job of qualifying the prospect that came in. Your portfolio has done its job of of showing that you are relevant, or showing that you're trustworthy, or showing that you've done enough work in this space. So every other effort that you have put in terms of your growth or related activities, all of those things have done their job. And finally, it is coming down to this conversation, right? So all of those things are coming down to this conversation. It's very important for this conversation to go well, because if it doesn't, then all the other activities have failed, right? Essentially, they've done their job, but they've still failed because you've not been able to close it. And that's one of the key reasons why it is very, very important in a journey. And while we talk about that, it's also important for us to understand and realize as to when does the real negotiation happen, right? So if negotiation starts happening too early, it could be a reason. It could be the scenario where the prospect is not genuinely considering you; they're genuinely considering someone else, but then they are looking at your proposal or your quote as a way for them to actually negotiate with the other vendor, right? And so they've asked for a quote from you, and without understanding what you've offered in the quote, they've just right away, directly, without explaining all the requirements to you, without spending the necessary time with you, they've right away started negotiating with you. That is a good indicator that they're just using you as a chip to negotiate with another vendor who is far ahead in their in the sales pipeline than you are, right? And so if it starts happening too early, you may want to stay a little alert, or you may want to be a little on your toes when that starts to happen. So typically, this is how your funnel looks like, right? So let's say if you're offering SEO or related services, your prospect, from like just by themselves, they become aware of the problem that they are facing. So they have some amount of self-realization. They'll reach out to some of their colleagues, they'll reach out to some of their friends, talk about that particular problem that they are facing in their business. They'll see if they can attend a relevant event. And so what you want to do is you want to be present at these events, right? So you want to do cold outreach to move people who are in this stage to the next, right? And then once they've become aware about, like, they've defined the scope of the problem a little bit, they figure out whether it's in their budget or not, and then an interest is generated within them in solving that, right? And so at that point of time, what they start doing is they start researching as to who exists in the market who can help them with the problem that they are facing, and they'll ask their connections about it. They'll ask if they've worked with someone. They'll ask if they know someone who can solve this problem for them. And so what you want to do is you want to position yourself as an expert in that particular stage, so that whoever is a part of this part of your funnel, they move to the next one. This is where you get in touch with them for the first time, right? So you are having your first meeting with them, or you're having a call with them, whatever the case may be. This is where you consult with them, right? So you try and understand the scope and size of their problem. You try and figure out why are they interested in solving it. You qualify them basis budget, authority, need, and time, and you understand their problems and start offering solutions, right? It's only after this stage, which is when you move to the closure, which is where the negotiation is supposed to happen. It's the pricing, negotiation, terms, and implementation actually starts after the consultation stage. So if the negotiation starts happening over here, or if it starts happening over here, when you receive a cold lead right out of nowhere on LinkedIn or something like that, and they just say that, hey, we are looking for this service, just send across your proposal, then you know for a fact that they are using you as a chip in front of someone, right? And so you want to make sure that you are not one of those vendors who's just undercutting the real vendor that they are considering, because large amount of value is lost in negotiating at the wrong stage, right? You want to make sure your negotiation at the right stage. So let's talk a little bit about prerequisites for negotiation, the things that you need to be ready with, right? And so the first one is a list of your non-negotiables, right? So things that you have listed down on Notion, or just written down, or just remember that these are some of the things that no matter what happens, you just not be in favor of changing them, or in favor of negotiating with them, or compromising on them, right? So and the thing is that all of us have those things at the back of our minds, but we just don't typically make a list. So as an example, when we used to be an IT agency, One of the things that we never negotiated on was payment terms, right? So no matter what the price point was, the payment terms have to be that the payment has to be for the next month. The payment has to happen on first to fifth of that particular month, right? So if I'm going to if I'm going to offer services for the month of March, the payment has to be received in our bank account by 5th of March. That was a non-negotiable. I could negotiate on the price a lot, but the payment has to happen by 5th, right? So that was one of the non-negotiables. Similarly, you could have your own now non-negotiables, right? So you could say that, hey, we're offering SEO services, will not do engagements that are 2 months or less, right? Or 3 months or less, because it's not enough time for you to do any meaningful generate any meaningful ROI for your prospect or for your clients, right? So figure out what those non-negotiables are. Another scenario could be where you would say that no matter what happens, our team member will not be working out of the prospect's office or the client's office, right? Sometimes that's also a requirement that could come. Or you could have a particular clause in a contract, right? So you'll say that, oh, no matter what happens, the arbitration has to be in this particular location, whatever those things are. So have those things ready, right? So you know that, hey, these are some of the things that no matter what, you're not going to be compromising on. The second is to figure out whether you are talking to the right party on the prospect side. Again, significant amount of time is lost in negotiating with a party who's actually not a decision maker, right? From the prospect of the client side, you're just talking to a person and negotiating with them, only to figure out like 2 weeks later that, hey, another round of negotiation is going to happen with a decision maker, right? So figure out whether you are talking the party that you're negotiating with, actually do they have the right to make the decision or not, and then only then you spend some time doing negotiating with them. And the third one is establish trust, right? So in the consultation stage or in the stages before that, you want to establish as much trust as possible. A party can trust you only if they know that you are a person of. So there are three things, right? So it is CCP, and so it is character, competency, and power to make decisions. So your prospect will trust you only if you are able to demonstrate that you're a party of high character, that you are a party that is competent, and that you have the power to make decisions. Now, the power to make decisions is fairly simple. If you are negotiating, you obviously imply that by saying that you are the founder of the agency or the CEO at the agency, and so that's okay. But if your salesperson is doing that, then empower that salesperson, right? So mention to them that what's the highest, what's the lowest, what are the things that they can negotiate on. And so because they also, if they are negotiating on behalf of the agency with the client or with the prospect, then they also need to demonstrate that they have the power to close the deal, right? Another thing is that you'll have to figure out ways of showing that you're a person of high character, right? And so that means that if during the consultation you come across a point where you realize that you are not the best fit for offering the services, then give them that advice. A lot of times thinking about things from the client standpoint may not be in the best, may not lead to the best outcome for you as a business, but in the long term, it will still prove to be useful, because earning a customer's or a prospect's trust is far more valuable than earning the work, right? If you have their trust, then that trust can help you get a lot more, right? So that's another thing that I would say. That building trust comes from character, competency, and the power to make decisions, and have that on full display, right? So these are some of the things that you need to, for sure, have prerequisites before you sit down to negotiate with any prospect, right? So what are your non-negotiables? Are you negotiating with the correct party from the prospect side? The third one is, if you are negotiating, then are you able to show that you are a party of high character, have the power to make decisions, and are competent, right? Now, before we move on to advanced tips, here are some simple tips. These are some of the ones that you already know, and so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. But the first one is, ask for a little more. If you're looking to close a deal at 5,000, quote 5,500 and agree at 5,000 or 4,900 or something like that, which is something that you must already be doing. This is something that your clients also know, and so they also know that you've added a little buffer while you quoted the first time. On the second one is figure out who do you blame, right? For your non-negotiables, what party or what situation, what circumstance do you blame, right? You should not, if you are the person who's negotiating, you should not take the blame, right, for you ever having to say no. So you should never be the reason for why this collaboration won't work, right? You have to identify a third party who's beyond your control, and make that as a reason for no. So I'll give you an example. So one of the things that I used to do when we were running an IT agency is that a large part of the work that we would get from our clients, we'll also, have our partners who'd be working with us on that. And so for each and every aspect of the work, we'd have a couple of partners, right? So let's say if some specific aspect of an Android mobile application needed to be developed, we'll have three or four partners who we would typically go to. And then every time that with one of the partners that I really wanted to work with, but if their price was not working for me, given that I was the decision maker, I just, primarily figure out a way of blaming something or someone else. So I'll essentially tell them that, hey, you obviously realize how partnerships work. We have a couple other partners, and they have submitted quotes that are far lesser than you. And it's not like you are a special partner and they are not, or they are a special partner and you are not. For us, all of you guys are equal. For us, we worked with all of you before, and we know all of your work styles, we know all of your methodologies. And while I appreciate the quality of work that you deliver, given that it has to be a business decision, there are other quotes that are lesser than you, and I need you to at least come down to this particular price point for me to consider you, right? And so in that conversation, while I was saying no to them of not being able to agree or accept their price point, I did not take the blame for saying no. The blame was that we had other parties who had submitted a lower quote than them, right? And so figure out what that could be in your conversation. The third is, of course, is putting them in the center of the universe, right? So everybody is the center of their own universe. What you want to do is you want to visit their center of the universe and look at their challenges, look at their uncertainties, look at their fears, and then figure out ways to address those things in your conversation, right? So as an example, so a lot of times what happens is that when we are running an agency, a lot of things are just facts for us. So as an example, if I'm running an SEO agency, it's obviously the fact that SEO will not be able to give any meaningful ROI for the first 6 months, right? But that's not a fact of life for your prospect, because they live in a very different world, right? So similarly, if I'm running a tech agency, it's an obvious fact of life that if we are building the app, there has to be a third party who will do a security review, right? But it's not the same for them. And so what you want to do is you want to be patient, you want to answer all the questions and work with them to figure out roadblocks, and how those could be removed, right? And so visit their center of the universe and then look at things from their perspective. So these are some basic tips that I just wanted to mention, as far as negotiation is concerned. Now we'll move to a couple of advanced tips, right? So here's like the shortest deck that I've ever made, which is how to negotiate when your life depends on it, right? So step one, um, never be in a situation never be in a situation where your life depends on negotiating that deal, right? So that's how to negotiate when your life depends on it, right? So you need to figure out ways of making sure that you are never in a position where if that deal doesn't go through, then the things end for you, right? So you need to, if this is happening with you often, if you're just winning enough deals to make sure that you have enough cash flow, then you need to focus on top of the funnel. Then this topic isn't for you, right? So you want to look at another webinar that Elma and I did in the community, which is centered around how you can generate leads, right? And so you always, when you are sitting down to negotiate, you absolutely always have to be ready to walk away from the table, right? And so never be in a situation where if the deal doesn't go through, things end for you. So never ever negotiate when your life depends on it, right? Just move out of that situation, figure out how. Now, if you look at every negotiation, it typically has a pattern, right? So it typically has assessment, engagement, and transaction, right? So assessment is where you're assessing the other party. You're doing some amount of research. You're looking at the size of the company that you're going to be pitching to. you're looking at the person, the kind of thoughts that they have by looking through their LinkedIn profile, and by looking through their tweets and stuff like that. So you're typically figuring out as many data points as possible about that particular individual or about that company. So you know, so you're not going in blind while you're having this conversation. A lot of people skip the first step, right? So a lot of people directly go into the room without having any context of who the person is. We have some vague idea of what the company does, or what the company's priorities are, but we typically don't do enough research on the person that we are actually going to negotiate with. The second one is the engagement, right? So engagement is where you, as an agency or agency owner or a freelancer, try to figure out ways to identify with the party, right? So try to figure out ways in which you're having conversations with them. So this typically happens while you are doing consultation. And so what you're doing is you're understanding their use case, you're understanding their challenges, and then essentially tagging each one of those challenges to an experience that you've had in the past, right? And so to something, some story, some event or some experience that happened with some other client, or you've heard about that happen with some other company. And so whenever they talk about things during the negotiation, or during the consultation, you want to use those stories and then relate with them, right? So that they essentially look at you as one of their own, right? They start looking at you as a partner. Whenever you're negotiating, you're primarily sitting against or across the table. And a good way, like, or a simple way to think about it is that both of you, like both the parties, are while they are negotiating, they're acting against each other's interest, right? So they're acting primarily against each other's interest. However, knowing that once that stage is over, you guys are going to be partners, right? And so what you want to do is you want to minimize the amount of time that you are counterparties, right? So during the consultation, you want to behave as a partner. During the engagement, like the final, once you sign the proposal and you start working, you want to behave like a partner. You want to minimize the time when you are actually in a conflicting situation against each other. And so you want to make sure that you are able to relate with them and identify with them. And here's a very simple example that I typically, when I talk to other Indian agency owners or founders, I'm able to kind of share. I'm not sure how relevant it will be over here, but a lot of people in India, they immigrate out of the country, and they'll go to US, they'll go to Canada, they'll go to some parts of Europe, and when you are going there as a tourist, so let's say if I go as a tourist in France, one of the things that happens is I'm seeing French people all around. But as soon as I spot an Indian guy, I start talking with him in Hindi, and there will be some force of attraction that will take me to that person, right? And that's primarily because I relate to that person. We have a lot of things common in our background, and so once parties start relating with each other, the conflict actually becomes much shorter when you are doing the negotiation. And the last one is obviously transaction, where you design the deal, right? And this is where think of it in a way that you're just essentially doing a Subway sandwich, right? You're trying to figure out what are the things that the customer, the prospect wants, and figure out what are the things that you can offer, and build a compromise, right? So figure out ways to compromise on your offer, or to make them compromise on their expectations as well, right? So this is typically every negotiation and the pattern that you have. So assess the party that you're going to talk to, engage with the party, relate with them, reduce the amount of time that you are acting against each other's interest, and then design the deal or design the transaction in a way that there is a genuine compromise, right? So where you are giving up on something and they are giving up on something, and then you are able to actually meet in the middle, right? Another thing that I'd love to share with you, which is one of the things, is anticipate the questions, right? So one of the biggest failures in negotiation is not figuring out questions or possible solutions to them beforehand. So as an agency owner or a freelancer or a founder, you already know that whenever I'm going to talk to a particular prospect who's had this particular type of a background, these are the quality of questions, or these are the category of questions that they are going to have. And so you want to anticipate those questions, and you want to have a couple of possible solutions ready and with you and beforehand. So you will also figure out that when you have answers or solutions ready, you actually end up catching them off guard, right? So as a prospect, they were thinking that, hey, this is the question that I'm going to ask, and this is going to stump you, right? This is going to stump the agency owner. This is going to stump our vendor. But when you have a couple of possible solutions, and that you will, because you've done this far longer than they have, then it becomes a much more enjoyable experience for you as well. Here are the things that they typically expect, right? So when you sit down to negotiate, there are these 4 or 5 things that they're looking to kind of figure out a way of making this engagement work. So the first one is is can more outcomes be promised for the same price and effort, right? So that's the more work, right? So can more outcomes be promised for the same price and effort, because they already have a budget, and whatever you've quoted is fits the budget, but then they just want to squeeze a little more. The second is partnerships, right? So they don't have enough budget, but they really want to work with you, and so what they're trying to figure out is that, are you open to working on outcome based pricing, right? So when they'd say that, hey, if you're an SEO service provider, they'll say, if our non-branded keyword traffic increases by 50% in the next 6 months, then this is the amount that we pay to you, right? So that's essentially where they're trying to partner up with you, and then have you work on an outcome based pricing. The third is payment terms, right? So like, can a larger chunk of money be collected later, right? So that they can plan their internal cash flow. So if you're going to charge, let's say $5,000 a month, can or $5,000 for 6 months or whatever, can you start with $500 today, and then charge like $3,000 3 months later, and another $1,500 6 months later, right? So they'd want to pay as much as possible, as late as possible, and you want to just figure out from your standpoint whether you can take that hit on your cash flow, right? The fourth one is lesser scope, right? So they don't have the budget. You are not willing to work on the outcome based pricing. So can you work can you reduce the scope and hence reduce the price as well? And the ultimate one is just the lower price, right? So someone else is willing to do the work for a lower price. The budget seemed the initially they had the budget, you'd qualified them, but then looking at the ROI, the budgets have reduced. The model can be changed. Lesser items be promised in the same price, and can the terms be favorable, right? Primarily, these are the 4 or 5 things that they negotiate with you on, and like ideally you should have a couple of good responses or a couple of solutions on each one of them, right? So you should, and so these are things that having your non-negotiables ready with you, or being prepared for such outcomes, or being prepared for these questions, it will genuinely help you answer questions when these sort of things are being proposed as well, right? And the last thing, like that I'd love to share with you, is that you must be very, very comfortable with silence. I've had situations in early days of our agency where I'm in a meeting with them, and then we are having a final conversation with the prospect, and I say that this is the amount of investment that the prospect or their company needs to make to achieve this much outcome, and then engage with us. And I've seen, so like I say the amount, and I've seen the decision maker just put their head down a little bit, and then not say anything for 10 seconds, right? Just 10 seconds. And those 10 seconds actually seem like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but they just stay mum for 10 seconds. And then you get very uncomfortable because you don't know what they are thinking. And so then you start offering solutions. You assume that the price is an issue. Then you start offering solutions, but hey, this is something that we can do. But hey, that is something that we can do. And that is something that you want to stay away from, right? So you want to make sure that you're very, very comfortable with silence. Even if there is a 10-second, 20-second, 30-second silence, you just want to sit there. And once you've made the offer, the ball is in their court, right? So they've got to respond. They've got to ask you the question. They've got to make a proposal now, or they've got to make a counter proposal now. So you just want to be very, very comfortable with silence, right? while you are negotiation. Every negotiation primarily is also centered around these things. So these are some of the aspects of your contracts that you want to think about. So the first is price. Obviously, can this be done cheaper? Time frames. Can this be done faster? Terms. How do they pay? When do they pay? How much do they pay? Warranties. What are the guarantees or warranties that you are giving? And then remedies. Remedies are basically combination of legal and economic remedies. So what if this doesn't work out, right? And so it's important to remember that saying no or not fit is the biggest time saver in sales, or while you're sitting around to negotiate with your leads or prospect as well. It's also important to understand and realize that the relationship that you've built, so up until the time that you sit to negotiate, you should have done a couple of things, right? So you should have established some amount of trust. You should have shown that you're a person of high character, that you are competent, that you've done this like 10 times before. You should have already thought about things from their perspective. You should have already proposed joint solutions. They should have started thinking about you already as a partner. And then if the deal doesn't work out, so after doing all of those things, if the deal doesn't work out, you just remember that the relationship that you've built, these things that you've established, the investments that you've made, is far more important than just closing that particular sale or closing that particular deal. Because if you've made a good impression, see, 70% of new business comes from existing business for an agency or a freelancer, right? So it comes from referrals, it comes from recommendations. If you have the right ICP, then they typically are in touch with other people who are also part of your ICP. And if you've built a great relationship with them before the negotiation or before the deal not working out, then they'll recommend you to a couple of people, right? And so please remember that the relationship that you are building is far more important than the deal. And lastly, I want to share with you some resources, right? So as promised, we've got about 15 or 16 curated resources for agencies and freelancers that you can check out on clientjoy.io/universe. There are resources like 150 plus cold email templates, 300 plus Excel sheet templates, 700 plus PPT templates, 420 plus social media post ideas, 100 plus invoice templates, and like 10 others. All of these are completely free. These are centralized and curated. Just go over there, put in your email ID, and we'll send all the resources to you right away. And then I very quickly want to talk to you about how Clientjoy can help you reduce your turnaround times by 18% and improve your conversion rate by 10% as well. Right. So with Clientjoy, you can generate leads directly from your website. So you can ask your visitors to fill out a form, directly get them added into your sales pipeline. You can obviously manage your sales pipeline with all the stages that you have, and you make sure that you never let opportunities fall through the cracks. You can create and send email sequences to your clients, so you can warm up cold leads, and you can send out follow up and reminders to them. You can use AI to write brilliant emails. So clients are integrated with OpenAI, so you can write emails quickly and easily. You can just put in quick prompt and it will give you and generate a reply for you. You can get your quotes, contracts, proposals e-signed. You can also create those as templates and then reuse them over and over again. You can create a custom client portal to work with clients that's hosted on your domain, that carries your JavaScript, your custom CSS. You can embed more than 1,000 applications into your client portal and make sure that they always have access to the documents that you send, the invoices that you send, the files that you shared with them as well. Stop writing email and WhatsApp or chat messages to show progress. You can manage clients in their activities as well. You make sure that you always get paid on time, because you can raise one-time split or recurring invoices with payment links from Stripe, PayPal, and Payoneer as well. And we do scheduled and automated reminders from within the software as well, so you don't have to follow up manually. Lastly, primarily the fundamental idea of building Clientjoy is that sum of parts is greater than parts of the sum. Right? At Clientjoy, we are not breaking new ground. We are not like changing the world or making a dent in the universe. All of the features that we have, all of the benefits that we have, they are available in other softwares, right? So you have platforms like HubSpot, Pipedrive, or like 400 other CRMs will allow you to manage your sales pipeline. You have Calendly, Book Like a Boss, all of them to get meeting bookings. You'll have PandaDoc and DocuSign and all of them to get your documents signed. You'll have Invoicely and QuickBooks to send across your invoices. However, the primary idea at Clientjoy is that if you have all of those things in one single place, then you can get insights, right? So you know who your most profitable clients are. You know which projects are going to run into trouble. You know what's the kind of cash flow that you have. You know what your sales projections are, and so on and so forth. And then it's also much more economical because it's just one piece of software that now you need to purchase. You can also use the code non-tech techie to get 15% off. It applies on all plans that we have and also applies on all future purchases, right? So that's pretty much it from my side. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those questions as well.
Very, very helpful. And just to let you know, guys, we have a giveaway for one license at the end of the live stream, and the form is on top. So just nttl.inc/CJ. Actually, that's from Linkjoy. I'm using Linkjoy for this. So, which is also a product of Clientjoy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yay!
absolutely.
Okay, okay. So let's go. Um, Before we jump into the Q&A, can you talk about the recent updates on Client Joy?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
so the week before, so December was a huge slump, right? Because nobody's working at that point of time, and in major geographies, people have their financial year is coming to an end, and they're preparing for the new financial year for their business as well, and so they're not thinking of purchasing a software, right? So the whole team had a lot of time. And so during that time, because it was just after Black Friday, so Black Friday was tremendous for us. We did a lot. We had a lot of fun actually during the Black Friday. But then December is like we are a little free. So December we also did a team trip to like the whole team went out to a place called Alibag, which is in and around where we are, and it's near a beach, and we just had fun, celebrated the successful Black Friday that we had. But then with the other additional extra free time that we had, we figured out what are some of the key things that our customers want, and then started building and focusing on those, right? Because the growth team was also, or the marketing customer success team was also spending time on that. And so the week before last, we released Joy Assist, which is what I talked about very quickly during the presentation as well, which is we've integrated with OpenAI within Clientjoy. You don't need to have an OpenAI account. We have that, and that's included in your plan as well. And so you can just summon Joy Assist whenever you're writing an email, and it helps you write, candid, professional, humble, convincing, all of those things. So it helps you write all of those sort of emails in English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, all of those languages around the topic that you want it to write, right? So you can say, help me write a convincing email in English, to ask the client to complete the payment, or fulfill the payment, right? And so it'll give you a 200-word email with all the merge fields and everything, and you can just make small edits and send it out very quickly, right? So that when you're sending out your proposals, when you're sending out your invoices, when you're sending out your client portal invites, all of those things you can use the AI that we've integrated in Clientjoy to do that. So that's one cool, exciting update. It is
Wow.
it is in it is in beta right now. It's accessible to everyone, but it is in beta right now. We are looking at how it is being used, and then slowly and gradually we'll extend its use case within Clientjoy as well. And we are constantly working with our customers to understand how they're using it, what more can we do to bring more value to them. The second thing that we did, which was last week, was lead forms. Lead forms has been not one of the most, it's been the most asked feature on Clientjoy, which is basically just create a form in Clientjoy and then embed it on your website, so your visitors can fill in their data and you can start generating leads that way. And the way that we've built lead forms is it's not just a form, but it also has configurations, right? And so you can make sure who that lead is assigned to, what stage it should be, what tag should it carry. You can configure all of those things within Clientjoy as well. And if you choose more than two people as the lead assignment, then it does round robin. So if in the form, if I say, okay, whatever leads come in through this form should be assigned to Elma and Yash, then it does round robin on its own. The first lead goes to Elma, the second one comes to me, the third one goes to you, the fourth one comes to me. So it is designed to make things as simple and as seamless for the agency of freelancers as possible. Today, I mean, so we released this another feature yesterday, which we've not yet announced. So I'll be doing a video on that today and then making the announcement tomorrow. Um, but I am making also an announcement right now. So we are launching Activities 2.0. So Activities
Ooh.
is basically the ability for you to create smaller, like sales related tasks and follow-ups and reminders, and then have them available on your calendar, or have them not available on your calendar. So like have them not book a time on the calendar, but just as a to do, so that you know that these are some of the things that you're working on. And you can assign those to your salespeople. Your salespeople can mark them as complete, and so on and so forth. Right? So complete sales related task assignment and activity assignment and creation. All of that is now live in Clientjoy. I'll be doing a video and we'll announce it tomorrow. Um,
Yay!
yeah, so that's something that we have. And the current one that we're working on is that we should release in the next 3 weeks max, is multiple sales pipeline, right? So that's also been one of the fairly requested features. We only have one sales pipeline as of now. In the next 3 weeks, you'll be able to create n number of sales pipeline and then give relevant people access to those sales pipelines within Clientjoy. So you can manage selling two different services who have different journeys of, or like who have different purchase behaviors on for you, right? This January, February have been very exciting for us. These are some of the updates, along with some smaller bug fixes and stuff like that.
Hey, but I do recall that what last time you were also introducing contracts,
Oh
contract
yes,
templates.
yes. So we have so we have contract templates. We have about I think about, so we asked in our community as to what are the contract templates that you'd like for us to introduce. And so we've created 11 new templates for documents and contracts. And so those 11 templates will be live, I think, either by end of this week or first half of next week. So there are 11 new templates coming out very soon. In that, from the product standpoint, we are ready, but there are some things from growth standpoint, like from SEO and from all of those things that we need to do, that we are currently working on. So there's a little bit of delay from the marketing team. From product standpoint, we're already there. So either by end of this week or first half of coming week, we'll be having those 11 new templates in Clientjoy as well. And then the other 40 templates is something that we are yet to start work on, but we will do that. We will do that soon as well.
Cool. So there are so much things happening on ClientJoy. And the other day, somebody was even asking me, are there any updates on ClientJoy? I said, yes, if you're using it, you know that there are a lot of updates. So
Yeah,
yes, ClientJoy is very active in updating the software and also upgrading the software.
yeah,
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 so we
for
have
sure.
so much more features now. One of the concerns that was also asked to me before we go to Q&A. Actually, we don't have a lot of questions, but a lot of good feedback.
Okay.
Is about the pricing plans of ClientJoy and what is the future, the business plan, and your road to MRR.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah.
question. So I mean, as a
Do
product,
you have a
we
pricing schedule, right?
yeah, we do.
Yes. Do you want to share that?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. So as a product, we know that we cannot survive on lifetime pricing, right? While
Exactly.
right now the 100% of that revenue is coming to us. We previously were listed on AppSumo. So I'll tell you the pricing journey that has been up until now, right? So we started at $49 for 5 users, right? That's the price point that we were listed on AppSumo at. And then we moved to $49 for one user, and then $49 for one user became $59 for one user, $79, $99, $129, and is currently at $149 for each user, right? And then I think by end of November, so like right around Black Friday, we took away branding plus from the lifetime deal as well, right? So At that time, branding plus so custom branding and white label was available in the lifetime deal, which we took away to MRR. So right now, if you go, you'll have branding plus at $9 per month, right? And so the idea always has been the other thing is that previously we used to sell unlimited user accounts for lifetime deal, but now we also have a limit. So you can only buy up to 5 accounts on the lifetime deal, and then from sixth user onwards you've got to pay $19 per user. So the idea being that if you're a small agency or a freelancer who's lesser than 5 or less people, then we want to support you, and so we have lifetime deal for you. But then if you have 6 salespeople, then you can afford to pay MRR, right? Primarily that being the idea, and the pricing will change further as well, right? So as and when time goes by, more and more things will move to MRR, and more things will start to seem a little expensive from the pricing standpoint. However, when I say that, I want to clarify that the people who had the $49 for 5 user plan, they still have that with us, right? So whenever we update the pricing, it works on a fairly simple formula, right? So whenever we update the pricing, if the this has never happened, but if the new pricing is lesser than the previous pricing, then the new pricing applies to all the users. However, if the new pricing is higher than the previous pricing, the previous customers kind of don't feel the brunt of it, right? So let's say if you have one user license with branding plus already in lifetime deal that you purchased, the fact that now it is an add-on does not impact you. You already have it, right? So primarily, of course, as and when the software evolves, we need more people to support it. We only had 2 people who are doing customer success. Now we have 4. We previously only had so there are n number of people that we are recruiting for building more features and enhanced features as well. We When we launched Clientjoy, the number of people who are working on Clientjoy were 7. Right now it is 28, right? And so as and when the company has scaled, or the project has scaled, or the product has scaled, we've implemented the pricing changes, looked at the market and how they're responding, and kind of figured out what's the benchmark, or what's the kind of number where it becomes stagnant, right? Improvising the bottom of the funnel. But primarily, the pricing will evolve as and when time goes by. Clientjoy will become more and more expensive from an LTD standpoint, but from a market standpoint, it'll still stay affordable if you compare it to Dubsado or Hello Bonsai or something like that. But then, having said that, I want to make things absolutely clear that if you already have better pricing, then no matter what we introduce in the future, your pricing doesn't change, right? So it does not have any impact on your pricing.
Okay, so I hope that is clear to everyone who had questions about the
Okay.
future of client add-ons. It's too redundant adding add-ons. And at the same time, our accounts as LTD license holders are protected, and there will
Yes.
be a limit of maximum 5 users on LTD per workspace. And
Yeah.
to make just for to be clear, one license, one LTD license is for one workspace and for one user. So if you need 2 workspaces with the same user, you need 2 licenses. Okay, I have to be clear on that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
No,
yeah.
absolutely.
So it's now $9 per month for the branding plus.
Correct. And so let me
Okay.
also add this.
Mm,
By Tuesday, we'll be doing a new pricing, which is where there are going to be 3 new add-ons, right? So we have $9 for branding plus. We'll have custom fields as an add-on, multi-currency as an add-on, and then IFTTT, which is Zapier, Pabbly, all of that, and APIs. These 3 things as an add-on. So if you purchase before Monday, then whatever price that we have as of now will apply. However, if you come Tuesday or later, then you'll only be able to buy up to 3 LTD licenses, and you'll have all of these 4 different add-ons, right? So just want to kind of clarify that
Sorry, you said four
so
different add-ons. What are the four different add-ons?
so branding plus, which is at
Okay.
$9, which is already there right now also as well, and it will continue because
Mm-hmm.
that's performing well for us. $5 per month for custom fields, $5 per month for multi currencies, like having billing or doing anything in multiple currencies, and then another $5 per month for IFTTT and APIs. However, so just to be clear, this does not impact the people. So let's say if you're buying right now, if you're buying tomorrow, or if you're buying by Monday, you get 149, which includes everything. And then if you, however, if you buy it on Tuesday or Wednesday, you'll get the new pricing.
So, okay. So Monday or Tuesday, the custom fields, the multi-currency and the IFTTT and APIs are already add-ons, right?
Yes, yes, they will become
Okay.
add-ons. They are not right
They'll
now.
become add-ons. Okay. But these prices that you cited as an add-on, it's still on a per workspace basis, not on a per
Yes.
user basis.
No, no, it's per workspace. Yeah, yeah, for the
Okay.
workspace.
So for the next question would be if the okay, so for example, you have a maximum of 5 users that you can get an LTD license. So if they have the sixth user, how much do they have to pay for that extra?
$19.
19 per user per workspace.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so because I might need to explain again to people later on. Okay, so we don't have much questions. Actually, it's more feedback. So thank you everyone for being with us here. Okay, let me see. Okay, so first thing here, Clientjoy is a great Indian startup, and these guys were agency earlier who built a SaaS product, so they know the challenges. So
Yeah.
thank you. Sorry, I could say your name, but thank you so much for that. And this person say, Clientjoy is my favorite CRM. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Like when I see comments like these, I'm really happy, and I'm also happy
Yeah.
to support Yash and Clientjoy because I mean they've been doing really good for us, our community, teaching us, how do I call that? Giving us knowledge on how to do things better.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing, Ankit said, it's okay. This is I think during your lecture, it's like premature negotiation is the root of all evil.
Yes.
Not only that, but wrong negotiation is
Yeah.
the root of all
Yeah.
evil. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, like me as an influencer, I need to talk to founders like Yash. So I also negotiate with Yash in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we talk about, oh, what can we do, what we cannot do, and stuff like that. And it's very important that, that it's a win-win. It's really a partnership that I see the company as a partner and how do you call that? Because there are some people that I don't see them as a partner, but rather someone that would like to use our group and then that's it. No, but I work more with founders I see more as a partner and whom I see more as adding value to the group. Not just by giveaways, but really giving us knowledge that we can apply in our
Yeah.
business life.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, because right. So yeah, so we do live streams, we do the giveaways, but at the same time, we also want education in our group.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this viewer say go for trust rather than money with the right
Absolutely.
negotiation. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, this one is over delivery, partnership, distribution of charges. Okay, I think I lost this because it's during the okay, let me see if we have more. Okay. All right. So this question from VJ is ClientJoy good for cold emailing and is it allowed?
Yes. So if you are using Outlook or Gmail, we support cold email sequences. So you can do that using Clientjoy. So I actually do my investor outreach using Clientjoy, and then I enroll them into a sequence, and I warm them up, and then I have a conversation with them. I myself, I typically get about 74% open rate, 22% reply rate. And for every 100 investors that I would do a cold email to, I'm actually able to get about 9 to 10 meeting bookings, right? And so I myself use ClientJoy for cold emailing, and it's not about allowed. We encourage that, right? So we've built the engine in a way that it mimics manual behavior, and so it sends email in a way that Outlook thinks that you are actually sending the email, right? So yeah.
Okay, that's a really good one. And
Yeah.
okay, and can't I change the sending email address without branding plus?
So you can. So branding plus and oh, okay. So sending email address. So there are a couple of different ways of email integration. So if you're asking this from the standpoint of cold email sequences, for sending out email sequences, you can change that email at any point of time. So you can say that you are going to send it out from vijay@vasudevan.com. And then you can change it to vasudevan@vijay.com, if that has a better delivery rate than the previous one, right? So you can change that. The delivery address that you're talking about, which is let's say for you sending the invoice or you sending the proposal, which is what you do typically with your engaged leads, right? Which are system generated emails or templatized system generated emails, which carry your proposal links or have the attachment of your proposal or invoice or client portal invites as a part of the email. Those are sent out from delivery@clientjoy.io. If you want to change that, then you can also do your SMTP settings, but that is included in Branding Plus, right? So you with Branding Plus you get custom domains. You remove powered by Clientjoy from all the places. You get custom SMTP, and then your logo, your custom CSS, your custom JavaScript everywhere.
But I don't actually. If you have that say powered by Client Joy, I don't mind my clients seeing that
Yeah,
because Client Joy is a sometimes I see that the mentality of having something like completely your brand, it's not really expansive mentality. Like, hey, I don't mind people seeing that I use Client Joy, and for a
yeah,
few reasons. Number one is I trust Client Joy. And number two is I want to refer more clients to Client Joy. Like if
yeah,
more people know what client that hey, I'm actually using Client Joy and it has been really good for me. They have top-notch customer service. They
yeah,
are doing a lot of updates, upgrades, or whatnot. Then I really would like to promote it to my clients.
yeah,
So, I
yeah,
mean, this is just my opinion, but it's completely up to you. Maybe for you, you really need to have it white labeled or branded. Well, it's up to you. It's the choice is there if you want it. Okay.
yeah,
Now, so
for
okay,
sure.
so let's do now the announcement of winners. Now we only have one winner, and I'm going to show on screen
Oh wow. Oh
our
wow, there are a lot of people.
yes, there are a lot of people, and thanks everyone for joining, for being with us here tonight. And I will call the names Alberto, Ankit, Dixit, Akli Joseph, PL Samota, Dinesh Naik, Faz Muza, Gowin Rai, HM Shuja, Inderjit Kaur, Inderpreet Singh, Jaydeep Haria, Joginder Sharma, Kartikeya Mitra, Kevin Williams, Leo Victor, Mabel A, Mamta, Mary Smith, Mizanur, Poonam, Ranveer, Rosie, Simran, Soma Shikar, Somya, Susan, Tusar, Valentine, and VJ. Okay, so we have a total 29 entries and one winner. And please be here when I call your name. So I'll shuffle now.
For some reason, I am excited.
I'm also excited during giveaways. Who will
Yeah,
win?
this is yeah.
Wow, congratulations,
Yay, Ranveer.
Ranveer. Okay, so Ranveer, I will ask Pranav to reach out to you. That's normally how we do it with the winners of Clientjoy. And do
Yeah.
remember that the 149 dollars per user LTD license is available until this Friday only. After together with the
Monday. Monday.
until Monday. Monday
Yeah.
next week, custom
Yes.
fields, multi-currency, and APIs will be an add-on. Will be
Yeah.
add-ons, right? Okay, and remember, you can get a 15% discount if you just type in on the discount coupon non-tech techie. Or if you
Yes.
can't remember it, just send me a message and I'll help you out. Okay, good night, everyone, and thanks again for joining. And see you again next week. Bye.
Yes. Bye bye.